Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Tuesday, the 25th of June. And, I said Tuesday. That must mean Susan's here. God, I'm out of it. Susan!
Yeah, I'm coughing.
Hello. Well, we're all in our places. Geez, even that was flat. You know, when I was a kid, I could carry a tune, couldn't I?
Yes, well, now that we only have 2 notes in our repertoire, it's a little harder.
Is that what it is, that we just have no range?
I have no range.
I have none either.
I used to, I could sing from alto all the way up to very high soprano.
You could?
And listen to me now.
No, thank you. But my ability to actually sing on key. I used to sing on key.
Well, so did I. And I remember, I can't, how many gazillion years ago was it when you threw your first silly birthday party and I came to Pittsburgh, and I believe it was Ginny who kicked me out of the singing group because she declared that I had to be able to carry a tune.
What? Aw,
and I could always carry a tune.
Jeez. Well, I don't know, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Because I like nothing more than to sing.
And I would like to point out that I gave birth to 2 children with perfect pitch.
Yes, you did. And that's amazing, because the whole next generation is really a bunch of good singers.
Well, what is so amazing to me is that it's on all sides of all of the family.
Right.
In-laws, outlaws, everywhere. On all sides,
singers.
There are these remarkable singing talents.
Right.
It's just amazing.
Right.
I haul people over to my computer, total strangers, and I make them listen to our nephew Hank.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And our father had a lovely voice. Untrained. Although
And my father-in-law went to school with Judy Garland. He had one incredible voice.
Right, exactly. He was a young actor, a kid actor, yeah.
He was a little boy.
A little boy, and he went to whatever the studio school was with...
MGM.
Oh, MGM school. God.
Yeah, he was the secretary of their club. I've told this story.
Yeah.
And we have minutes of the meeting where they were lectured about amphetamines, and guess who wasn't at the meeting?
Judy.
Yep, she was filming that day.
Well, it's not like they were going out and procuring them. They were being given them.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there's very good reason that my father-in-law begged to go home and became a doctor.
Yeah, he couldn't. Well, it was a good move on his part.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, lots of stuff, I suppose, going on. I keep getting emails. Let me just digress for a second. From people wondering where my Friday night show is, the 4802 on WDUQ TV. It's the word in the industry is on hiatus. It's on hiatus. Why don't
Is it
they
ever
just
coming back?
Yeah, it's always on hiatus in the summer. I don't know why.
Oh, it's on hiatus in the summer. It's on summer vacation. For all of those of you who are worried.
They take the summer off, but I don't think they started up again till October. So for those of you who like that show, I wish I were one of them. No, it's just that. No, and I don't mean to talk myself out of yet another job. It's just that.
I don't know. Lynn, don't you know that volunteering makes you feel richer?
Volunteering?
Yes.
Wait, but I am paid on that show.
That's what I mean.
Oh. Okay.
You go ahead and talk yourself out of another job.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Excuse me. Damn. What was I going to say? Oh, why I don't... Because, you know, on a Friday, normal Friday, when I'm done with this program, I can, if I want, start my weekend like at noon on a Friday. Isn't that a wonderful long weekend?
Yes.
Yes. But when that
if
show...
you have to do that show at 7 o'clock, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And then, so you're always, even if you sort of like to kick up your heels in the afternoon, you can't quite because there's something about, you know, having to do that show. And then, whatever. And then when you end your week in a spirited conversation on politics where you're arguing back and forth across the great divide, I don't like to argue. So you're
disgruntled for the rest of the week.
I know. So often when that show's over, we all get up and we head toward the and people aren't necessarily, we all say goodbye. And, you know, so we all sort of start our weekend in this annoyed, miserable state. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to suggest a scheduling change.
But there can't be.
In St. Louis, our PBS channel has a series called Donnybrook, which I assume is much the same thing. 4 people sitting around the table talking about the stories of the day, some liberal, some not.
Correct.
And they do it on Thursday. So by Friday afternoon, they're feeling much better.
Wouldn't that be nice? The problem is the way this station programs its lineup. They have our show right before Washington Week in Review, so it's the local.
So it can really pale in comparison.
Susan! Yes, so it can really pale in comparison.
Well, I'm just saying because that's the Friday edition of the news lineup is my favorite stuff on television.
See, I haven't watched it in 100 million years. First of all, I don't need a roundup, you know, of the week's news and what people think about it because that's what I'm immersed in all week. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't want to hear it. Think about it. My idea of a weekend is not having to talk about this stuff. So, you know, which is why I get testy. I had friends over for dinner last Friday, I think, and one of them in the middle of the dinner said, now, what do you think about this NSA stuff? And I just literally cringed because I knew where she would stand, and I knew I wasn't going to be quite on the same piece of real estate she was, and I didn't want to talk about it. You're not going to change anyone's mind.
No, I have a rule. I just, you know.
What? You have a rule like no politics at dinner? I don't talk
about it.
Well,
it never turns out well.
It rarely does.
No.
But some people do like to mix it up. And it's odd that I end up doing this for a living, and I don't like mixing it up.
Oh, no, but I know what you're talking about. I mean, everybody thinks that I am this, you know, tough, strong, willing to take on anybody sort of a person.
Yeah.
And it makes me so unhappy. I mean, I stopped being an attorney because it made me so unhappy.
Yeah, you didn't want it.
So, I mean, like, taking a stand with anybody, I'll do it, but then I'll suffer for the rest of the day.
Yeah, we don't have the right, I don't know what that is. It's not the right temperament. It's just not the right lust.
I find
for
it
battle.
very difficult to assert my own, to assert rights on my own behalf. It's very difficult.
Now that sounds odd. You're very assertive.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's hard.
Oh, okay. You do it, but then you have to go lie in a fetal position for a few hours.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Not that it stops me. I guess that's what everybody...
No. I get it. I do. So, okay, we should talk about some stuff, huh?
Sure.
It's all... I read something upsetting on the bus just a moment ago, and it was about yesterday's Supreme Court rulings. And, I guess the court, the justices sit there on high, and I don't think they always read their decisions, but sometimes they do, right?
They don't always read them.
But sometimes they do.
If Ruth Bader Ginsburg was reading it, it was for a reason.
Right. So Ginsburg, who was the odd woman out in the maybe affirmative action ruling, right?
Right.
Yesterday, she was the sole dissent, and she was reading her opinion, and this is Dana Milbank of the Washington Post is the one who said he was surprised nobody else has drawn attention to what he saw, which he found very troubling. While Ginsburg was reading her opinion, he said, Justice Alito. Oh, thank you. Well, why did I do Alito? Thank you, Susan.
I don't know, but his name is pronounced Alito.
Yeah, there's no other O there. My pen just ran out of ink! How am I supposed to function?
Here.
Oh, thank you. But don't you need one? You got two? Okay. So, while Ginsburg is reading...
Who was doing what while Ruth Bader Ginsburg was speaking? Reading?
Justice Samuel Alito was visibly rolling his eyes and shaking his head in, mocking way. Now, Milbank's a good enough reporter that he's not saying that because he's just reading that. He's seeing that and is stunned to see that.
And is amazed by the disrespect.
Exactly right. Amazed by the disrespect. Now, I hadn't heard that before, and it's so disquieting to hear that because, come on. We've seen the total loss of respect that's shown in the House from aisle to aisle.
He's sort of famous for being inappropriate.
Well, he sort of is, and he was the one who was caught during the State of the Union address once saying, after the president had said something, and Alito very clearly, you didn't even have to be a good lip reader, very clearly said, that's a lie.
Yeah, I mean, he's a piece of work.
Well, anyway.
I mean, at least Clarence Thomas just sits there.
Although that's true. He doesn't say anything. Anyway, so the ruling yesterday was, the best term I heard was it was essentially a punt by the court. Affirmative action still exists.
Right, and I don't think that Bader Ginsburg was reading her dissent on that decision. I think her dissent that she read came on the decision about employment and how the definition of supervisor, which requires that they be in a position of hiring and firing, and if they aren't, then they can't be guilty. The company can't be held guilty of discrimination. And she was reading a piece about how that was just a clear violation of the true intent of Title VII, and she was imploring Congress to fix it.
Good for you, Suze. Okay. All right. Yeah, so they found that they made it harder for somebody to sue a company for harassment.
Right.
By saying that your supervisor, unless your supervisor has the power to hire and fire, that person is not somebody. I guess that person has free.
That person is not. That person's harassment is not sufficient.
Right.
To hold the company responsible.
Okay, but I mean, what absurdity! Because
total absurdity.
Most people who work in a situation are supervised or report to somebody who, in fact, does not have the power. You know, it's a middle manager type person.
Right. They write a report that goes to somebody else that writes a report,
right.
And then somebody else says cut 6 people.
But so that's who the person's got. An employee has to be living with in every way at work, and if that person harassing them does not constitute, a place of employment that is not well. What am I trying to say? It would seem that the company should be held liable. I don't get it. Well, anyway.
I don't either, but the Supreme Court just issued a ruling on the Voting Rights Act, too. I sure wonder what they said.
Oh, we don't know yet.
Really
dear.
Do.
Oh,
it
dear.
It invalidates a key part of the... Oh, no.
Sure, they pulled it out. They did.
They invalidated that test.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, Susan, you're not surprised.
You know,
Are you?
A hope springs eternal. What can I say?
I'm not surprised. Okay, let me get, if you have anything here.
I'm looking. Go ahead.
Oh, I saw breaking news, and you know what it was? Paula Deen's sons defend their mom. That's not what I'm looking for. Yeah,
she only uses the N-word when it's appropriate. That's her defense.
Oh, dear God. Dear God. Okay, Supreme Court. No, I'm not. They're not giving me any meat yet. Okay. Well, I think that was... I was talking yesterday about this. That... I can't remember the number of the section that makes certain states, certain jurisdictions, have to get federal okay to change any of their voting laws. I bet that's what they've thrown out. I'm willing to bet.
I would assume that's what
because
they did. I mean, if they've invalidated a key portion, which was what I saw running by my eyes,
okay,
then that's the portion that they're invalidating, and that's the only thing that's been able to keep any semblance of fair voting rules in a whole lot of places.
Well, the places being in the Section 4, yeah. That's being in the South. I mean, I was talking about this yesterday, and I was saying, Susan, that I have some sympathy for those states that are under Section 4, or were, as the case may be, who say, hey, wait a minute. This idea that only here in Georgia or only here in Mississippi is there prejudice and or discrimination is absurd. And you know what? They're right. I can't think of a more sort of bigoted and intentional attempt to keep black people from voting than what the legislature here in Pennsylvania is up to and is still fighting to get done, a certain kind of voter ID law. Now, Pennsylvania is not under that section, can go ahead and disenfranchise people left and right because it is not under that section. Because it's, of course, a Yankee state, and we know that there ain't no prejudice up here. But, of course, that's bull. It's bull.
It is bull.
Well, if you have in many states where Republicans control legislature and the governor's mansion, that they now are passing these kinds of voting rights bills that are designed to suppress normally Democratic voters. young people and black people, urban minorities. And there's only one intent. The intent is to disenfranchise. But they can do it till till the cows come home, because they are not under any kind of federal oversight.
No. Well, no, I mean, they still have to meet basic constitutional guidelines, and that's saved us up to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the Arizona law, was thrown out, and that was because it was based on statistics that didn't exist.
I mean, so there's
it's very difficult. The only thing that I find reassuring is the more that these just obvious attempts at voter suppression are used, the more, absolutely adamantly going to get there the groups that are targeted become.
Well,
and it's backfiring.
They do believe that is the effect it had in the recent presidential election.
I mean, the more it's classic. It's classic. The more you tell somebody, you can't do that, I'm going to stop you, the more they want to do it and the harder they try. So go ahead.
Yeah.
It's bringing out the vote like nothing else we could possibly do.
Okay, I just want to say that the last time the Congress dealt with the Voting Rights
Act... Can I just say that you've totally disappeared and I can't hear you?
Oh, boy. You can't hear me at all?
Barely. And this is not how the call started.
Okay. And nothing has changed here.
No.
So I don't know what to say. Can you hear me enough? You sound fine.
Yeah. Oh, there, you're back all of a sudden.
Okay. Oh, who the hell knows? I just want to say that the last time Congress dealt with the Voting Rights Act, they have to re-up it. They've re-upped it a number of times since 1965, I think, when it was first passed. And the last time was in 2008. And in the House of Representatives, try to imagine this. In 2008, which is hardly ancient history, the vote to renew the Voting Rights Act, as written, was 390 to 33. That was just 5 years ago. And the Supreme Court today, 5-4, scuttles it. Oh, God. Well, so, jeez.
It's terribly upsetting.
It's.
I mean, because you have to, there should be some basic core values that we all subscribe to, and they're gone.
Well, because we're a nation divided. We are as divided as we were before the Civil War. And it's largely along the same lines. I mean, the same stuff. The war didn't resolve anything. Yeah,
well, it's middle-aged white men and older against everybody else. A lot of them have their women with them, so I shouldn't say that.
Well, so if the middle-aged white guys are happy right now, my guess is they're not going to be happy tomorrow or later in the week when the Defense of Marriage Act gets tossed, because I don't see any way that even this
court... It can pass constitutional muster.
That this court could... any court could say that that is constitutional.
Well, it's discriminatory on its face.
On its face. It's just, it is the institutionalization of bigotry is all
right.
it is.
I mean, one of our core values in this country has been that you can't make laws that target one group of people.
Exactly.
One class over another.
That's right. And equal protection under the law would suggest that I was having a conversation, Susan, wait a minute, I'm constantly interrupting myself, with a friend last night who is gay, and I was saying, if DOMA is knocked off, maybe you would be able to figure this for me. if two gay people in the state of Pennsylvania, which does not recognize same-sex marriage, were to travel to Massachusetts or New York or any of the states that do and get married, then even if they go back to Pennsylvania where they live, the fact that they have a license, a marriage license from one of the United States, would mean then, would it not, that in terms of all federal laws dealing with spouses, they would be covered, even if they're living in a state?
That they should be able to file a federal tax return.
Would it mean
as
that
a married couple, but they'd have to file, but the state would not necessarily have to line up their tax laws. Okay. However, the fact that the Supreme Court would invalidate that would, bring a, prima facie case, it would seem to me, against any state government for discrimination based on, something that ain't allowed.
Okay.
It would be no different than saying we don't recognize the marriage between a black man and a white woman, or, in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
and
so here,
that's not allowed.
Okay, so here's the other thing. If DOMA is struck down, then, and my friends or any other gay and lesbian couple living in any of the states that don't allow them to marry, if they go to a state for the purpose of marriage and marry and then come back to their home state, they will of course be able to file jointly for the federal thing, and then they'd be able, surviving spouses would get Social Security benefits, would they not?
They should.
Well, yeah.
There should be anything that any spouse is entitled to.
Right.
Under the rules and regulations and laws of the federal government would immediately be open.
And what about something like my friend was saying, what about my pension?
Yes.
You think that's federal law, that a pension would then go to a spouse? I mean, if they have a pension like that, mine doesn't.
The word spouse becomes defined as spouse.
Doesn't matter what the gender. Right.
Yes.
Well, let's hope that at least us folks on this side, the progressive side, get something to cheer about this week, and that it will be that, which will be huge.
And the federal government enforces these things by saying to any group that accepts federal money that if you don't follow these rules, you don't get our money. So that it creeps into states in that way. State universities, for example, would have to, if they take any federal funds or get any federal grants, would have to, deal with this appropriately.
Well, let's hope. I got to take a break. All right. So far, the court hasn't surprised me one whit yet. Let's hope it doesn't either. We'll be back. Just a minute.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. Sign up for our weekly newsletter to hear about new deals first. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. bergbargains.com.
Babies come with lots of decisions.
Cloth or disposable? Crib or bassinet?
So when it comes to protection, go with the safest, most effective choice, vaccination. Get all the recommended vaccines for your baby by age 2 to protect your child against 14 serious childhood diseases. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor. Go to cdc.gov/vaccines or call 800-CDC-INFO. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All righty, we are back. Hey, Suze, I failed to note, and I'm obnoxious in doing it, that have you noticed who's breathing down your cardinals' necks?
Oh, I meant to say that I smelled a yo-ho-ho at my tush.
A yo-ho-ho? You guys have done something in the last few days that you never ever do.
We lost 3 in a row. You won 4 in a row. You're only 1 game back of us. Go Pirates! Come on, because we're unaccustomed to this front row stance. Makes me uncomfortable.
We're the 2 best teams in baseball.
I know, but I'd much rather chase you.
Well, I think that's true. You'd much rather. I understand that feeling, because to be on top is to be toppled at some point. I don't know. But for us, this is just so thrilling. Although it was pointed out in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, actually, that the Pirates last year were doing the same kind of thing and then just crashed and burned and ended up below 500. So we'll see. But this team looks
every season
good.
Is brand new. Every game's another try. So I don't care who cares what happened last year? This is this year.
That's right. Who cares what happened?
That's what's fun about baseball.
I know. Well, we haven't had a winning season though, Susan, 21 years.
Well, so this is year 22.
That's a record. And I tip my hat, by the way, to the Chicago Blackhawks who won the Stanley Cup, which all us Pittsburghers had already thought we owned, and shame on us for getting ahead of ourselves. That's what happens. Chicago earned it. Here's something a little disgusting, Susan. This is if we want.
Thank you. Because my day was lacking in that.
No, it's not. It's disgusting in a different way. It's disgusting in the way that you end up hating rich people. I mean, okay, this is excess, wretched excess. Disgusting, I guess, news from the 1%. Residents of New York City's Soho neighborhood are now paying to have a trendy new pastry delivered directly to their door. Oh, my God, Jess knows about them.
Oh, yeah, that's old news.
That's old news. Cronuts. You know about them?
Last month.
Yeah. Do you know how much you know how to get a cronut? No. Have you ever had one?
They don't have them here.
No, I know. There's only one store. There's a trendy little bakery that makes what are called cronuts, a combination of a croissant and a donut. Susan, the line begins forming at the bakery at 5 a.m. every day.
What do? They roll a croissant and they deep fry it?
I don't know. They do not allow anyone to buy more than 2.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Listen to this. So a company, an entrepreneurial person, thought, okay, I'm going to hire me some people. We're going to stand in line, and we're each going to get 2. And I'm calling this company Premium Cronut Delivery. And if somebody, let's say, orders 10 cronuts from Premium Cronut Delivery...
5 people got to stand in line.
Yes, but Susan, listen to how much the person's going to pay.
I betcha, because he's got to pay the salary plus the price plus a profit.
Uh-huh. What would you pay for 10 cronuts?
Well,
delivered
I'm
to your
figuring
door?
They're going to be about $30. No. 10 is going to be that'll be a couple hundred.
All right. Sit down. 10 cronuts delivered to your door by Premium Cronut Delivery will be $3,000.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, you got to pay 5 salaries.
Well,
I mean, that's benefits,
I want to
taxes.
talk about, I want to talk about the person who pays $3,000.
Who's doing it?
$3,000 for, I'm not, hey, the person who knows there's idiots who will pay $3,000 who thought
It's one of those oligarchs that lives in New York. I mean, where do you think they live?
There's got to be more than, there got to be all over. I mean, also, people are paying a delivery service $100 for a single cronut. Now, I don't understand then how that means that 10 would cost $3,000. It would seem 10 would cost $1,000. But I guess because it takes so many, every 2 cronuts takes another employee to stand in line. As you order more, the price just keeps going up. I don't know. Who the hell?
Well, clearly you have to shop your delivery service. Or they're doing the, if I'm delivering to that address, they can pay more. If I'm delivering to this address, they can only pay this much.
Man.
Well, listen, this is happy news. An oligarch and his money are soon parted.
It's not just oligarchs. You think that's all just Russian oligarchs?
Why do they have to be Russian?
Oh, I always think of oligarchs as Russians. Okay. I mean, I thought, like new money.
It's just fabulously wealthy new money. People who have so much money that, a $3 million a month rental makes sense. It's all, the zeros don't count.
Did you say a $300 rental?
A $3 million rental.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Right. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Makes me sick. Okay, one more Supreme Court ruling that I just want to talk about just for a second here. The generic drug ruling. This court has systematically made it almost impossible for consumers.
Right. Now there's no product liability law left either.
There's none. Nobody's liable for anything. Manufacturers. Manufacturers are simply not liable anymore because of this court. And the ability to file a class action suit, almost totally gone now. This court has, and that was the only way that, little people could, get together. And they ruled a generic drug manufacturer.
Well, but can I say, though, that the problem with class action suits is that they really were hijacked by
legal people,
by attorneys that put together a class that never saw anything from the class, and that their only justification was that they could force the company to change because they'd have to pay a lot of money to the lawyers, if not to the consumers. And that that ended up consuming itself, and in the way it was existing, I'm not sure it was wrong.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but it does also mean that a big company, like let's say, take a Comcast,
it takes away an important way to
let's say
to
they
change
just
behavior.
Yeah, they just very quietly take a penny somehow, somewhere out of everyone's account once a month or something, for some reason, some fee, some this, some that. There's no way that a single subscriber is going to take that on. And there's no, and you would think, why would Comcast do it? Because little pennies add up. And when they do that, when they pick everybody's pocket for just a penny, they make amazing amounts of money.
No, this is why I use Wells Fargo bill pay as a classic example. That's a big one. I keep saying, is there a class action attorney out there? Because they steal your money in between the time you book it in and the person cashes the check. They take it out of your account before the person puts it in their account. And it's absolutely not appropriate. It's theft. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I'm not going to take them on all by myself, but that would be a great, and may I point out, winning class action suit. So wake up, some practicing attorney out there.
But you just said it's
there.
Almost impossible to do one. The court has made it almost impossible. Anyway, they've also made it impossible to if you're harmed by a generic drug, to get any justice. Hello, caller.
Yes, you're talking about workers' rights.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the next thing right now they're working on, Republicans in other states, we're not aware of it because it's not happening here, but they're working on changing the workman's comp law in a lot of ways where you can only go to their doctor. They're going to chip away at the rights of the workers eventually, and I think you work at summer, you get hurt, they'll just fire you. I mean, they're trying to go back, take us way back.
Oh, yeah. They're trying to see to the interests of the corporate sector, and certainly,
Exactly.
and they're certainly not interested in the worker and workers' rights in any way. That's, I mean, Republicans, right. Definitely don't give a
in my
damn.
state, they just made it. Our Republican legislature just made it illegal let me put it this way, made it voluntary to pay your union dues.
Yeah, which that's something Wisconsin did too.
Yeah. Well, Missouri thought that was a fine idea.
Well, sure. And what that obviously does is it'll destroy the unions.
Right.
The only unions left standing. Okay, well, whatever. Whatever. Okay. Here's something I just want to drop in, because I thought it's so true. This by Tim Kreider, NewYorkTimes.com. I've often thought that the single most devastating cyber attack a diabolical mind could design would not be on the military or financial sector, but simply to simultaneously make every email and every text ever sent universally public. The fabric of society would instantly evaporate. Every marriage, friendship, and business partnership dissolve. Civilization, which is held together by a fragile web of tactful phrasing, polite omissions, and white lies, would collapse in an apocalypse of bitter recrimination and weeping, breakups and fistfights, divorces and bankruptcies, scandal and resignation, blood feuds, litigation, wholesale slaughter in the streets, and not to mention lingering ill will. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
If everything that anybody ever said in an email or a text was somehow thrown out there, you wonder if any friendship would survive. Oh my God. So there you have it. Where do you think Mr. What's-his-name is?
Snowden?
Yeah.
I think he's in the airport in Moscow.
Yeah. And where do you think he'll end up?
Ecuador.
That's what everybody thinks. Well,
if he's so sure that what he did was the right thing, I mean, the guy is so clearly, fallen off the deep end.
since he did his thing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's just, the mind, I think this is one of those immature male brains.
I do too. Well, it's like, I understand. It's an idealistic, immature, sure of himself. I was there when you're in your 20s, right?
Right.
You're smarter than everybody else.
Part of me just goes, oh, boy, why, most people have someone to hold them back. What happened?
Yeah. That's my guess, too. But
now he's, saying they'll kill him if he comes back. Now he's just gone off the deep end.
Right, but what he's done, though, now is because he's gotten relations between two of the prickliest countries that we have to stay on relatively friendly terms with, namely Russia and China. If he'd been
trying, which I have to say made me wonder whether he was trying.
Well, you start to wonder, what is he doing? I mean, he's harming. We know he's harming our foreign. He's affecting our foreign policy. He's this thing and thatting, and I mean, well beyond having anything to do with what his original intent may have been, which is to alert the American people that their government was, looking at a whole bunch of stuff. And the damage just keeps on coming. It's also not known how much he really has. There might be a lot more information that he's never given out. And what did the Chinese get off of him while he was there? What are the Russians getting off of him while he's there? I don't know. If this kid thought he was ready for global prime time, he's playing with some real professionals now, and
I'm just thoroughly disgusted with the people that are remaining, that are trying to, view him in some heroic way.
Well, there's plenty still left. Hey, we got a call, Suze. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Lynn.
Hi.
Susan, this is Jason from Fox Chapel.
Hi.
I wanted to, I hate to start a new topic, but I wanted to ask you a question. I want to know if you were able to see the guy that walked across the canyon, tightrope, that guy.
I could
Nik
not.
Wallenda.
I could not watch something like that.
It was actually hard to watch. It was extremely hard to watch, and I think I'm a person that can handle almost anything. But watching it was pretty nerve-wracking for me. It was something that stood out to me that was pretty unique, and I guess it was. He also did this during his Niagara Falls walk as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire he actually, before he started to walk, he actually had a prayer,
mm-hmm.
which he used Jesus' name several times with one of the big time pastors, televangelist pastors, and then during the walk, almost the entire walk, which is 4 football fields long, he was saying, "Thank you, Jesus."
Right, I heard that.
You, Jesus, I love you, Jesus. Thank you. And you can hear it the entire time. You can hear it.
Yeah.
So the entire 20 minutes.
Well,
plus, I guess this was being broadcast. Now, I was born and raised a Christian, but over the years I've gotten more to a point that I consider myself as religious, and I respect and honor all religions, and I don't have any problem with any religion at all. But I was just wondering, how well would that have gone over if the person was walking a tightrope, and they would have
praise Allah, praise Allah,
whatever. It
wouldn't.
It made me, as a Christian, a born Christian and lived most of my young adult and half of my adult life as a Christian, I almost felt kind of uncomfortable, almost to the point that, there's millions of people that are obviously watching this. What about those other people? I know how many Christians are on the earth, and I suppose you know how many Muslims that are on the earth. Based upon what stats and everything shows us. But it was something that I thought that was kind of unusual, to say the least.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I want to ask you about is, I don't know if you all know about this, but there was a big car race Saturday, 24-hour Le Mans, and within the first 10 minutes of the race, there was a fatality.
Yeah.
And now this has happened, obviously, in the United States. And I was talking to one of my foreign friends later on that afternoon, and he was telling me, he was serious when he said this. He said, you made the statement one time, because I thought it was funny, because I actually heard it on your show. One of your callers said that this is the pussification of America, of the United States. When something happened, they shut down the whole race, they cancel all the race. They continue with this race. It happened, it was a 24-hour race, and it happened within the first 10 minutes, and they continue that 24-hour race. Maybe they made a couple of references to it, but the race went on. There wasn't a real big, at the very end of the race, they did like a memorial, official memorial statement, saying that the person had actually, there was a fatality, that he had actually died during the race. And it's just, I don't know, it makes you wonder how people from other countries really truly visualize us.
Well, it's like,
really, with the crows, the crow's nuts, whatever you were talking about. Things like that. It's almost like this. Sometimes we make a mockery out of ourselves, and it just makes you wonder.
Well, it's interesting. You're looking at things through someone else's eyes in both these instances that you bring up, which shows you're an empathetic person, which is I think a very nice quality. I guess in regard to the race, it's like it's like the gladiators. You just drag the dead one off the field and keep going. And I'm sure they all said he would have wanted us to go on. He wouldn't have wanted the race to stop. Whatever, the show must go on. In regard to this, the thank you, Jesus, all the way across the canyon, I don't have a problem with that. Whatever helps somebody get, who's standing 1,400 feet above certain death, whatever helps them go from, step to step if that gives him the kind of feeling of some measure of security, it's okay by me. But I, too, would not mind if I heard someone say Allah, Allah, or, whatever. But I know an awful lot of Americans would, because it would be foreign to their ears. It's not foreign in America to hear Jesus. But it is foreign.
Right, or it's surprising to people that live here to hear it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that, I would second the implied request that we all go back to cherishing our own beliefs in privacy.
Quietly.
I agree.
I agree too. But I mean, we're so far from that now, and I don't know. Whatever. I was thinking in terms of that walk. Why does anybody watch something like that? Because first of all, if he's going to make it, great. I'll hear about it later. If the only other thing that could happen is he falls.
Right. Well, it was on a 10-second delay, so you weren't going to see that either.
Well, so why I don't understand why you watch.
I don't either, which is why neither one of us did.
First of all, I would not want to see him fall. But, so all of a sudden, if the thing goes, all of a sudden he's not on the wire with a 10-second delay. I don't get it.
I am so the wrong person to talk about this, because I'm at the point where I sit through, even PG movies with, my hands over my eyes half the time.
Yeah, indeed.
I simply have no tolerance for any of this stuff anymore, and I just cannot understand the fun
of
in
seeing
violence.
all it. Yeah. But you see the absolute trashing of the culture, because this is what, you look at all the movies that are out now, it's just one violent horror after another. Look at all the movies now that are all about, some terror, that, the end of the world, some horror, whether, it's done with zombies or whether it's done with,
right, no, I just
viruses.
looked at the top 10 list, over the weekend. I thought, well, there's absolutely
nothing you would go to. It's all about fear. And it seems like fear is what is, I think, causing a lot of trouble in this country.
Well, I think the only thing I can figure out is people go to desensitize themselves
to the
so
fear?
that life isn't so frightening.
Why are they so scared? I mean, life's always been scary.
Life's always been scary. Life's always been unpredictable.
Yeah.
The nature of the bad stuff that could happen to you might change, but there was always horrific stuff that could happen to you.
Yeah.
And it's the nature of our lives.
Right. Suck it up! I got to get a second break in. Bunch of scaredy cats.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden...
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
Don't wait. Call 911 immediately.
Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Pick up the all-new Pittsburgh City Paper today. Still the #1 source for weekend fun in the Burgh. Go online now at www.pghcitypaper.com to vote in the 2013 Best of Pittsburgh Readers Poll. And type in the promo code CPTSTIX for your chance to win Taylor Swift tickets. Vote now before it's too late. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay, there's a South China newspaper, South China Morning Post. Did you see that? Yeah. This was in Daily News Nuggets, and I just happened upon it. But they're reporting that Snowden secured the job as a government contractor with the sole purpose to obtain evidence of Washington's cyber spying.
So he's a spy. I mean, he's no different than a foreign agent.
He intended to be a spy,
and what he does is go directly to our enemies to seek refuge. I mean, I don't know how else you establish intent to spy and to deliver secrets to the enemy.
Apparently,
that's treason.
He admitted in an interview with these people in China, my position with Booz Allen granted me access to lists of machines all over the world. That's why I accepted that position about 3 months ago. He also stated he took pay cuts in the course so he could keep pursuing specific work that he wanted to do.
Well, then somebody over at Booz Allen wasn't paying a whole lot of attention.
Well, I don't even want to get into all this, but the fact that if we're so concerned about national security issues, then you don't privatize national security.
Duh.
Jesus.
Oh, but big government, big government.
God. Oh, man, it just makes me crazy. All right, Susan, let's do something a little lighter. Paula Deen.
But she's just so, how is that lighter? It's so, I mean, I was trying to think this morning, because her defense really is, well, of course I've said that word, but only because, because that word was holding a gun to my head. So I was trying to think she says, of course I have, as if to say that no one has ever lived their life without saying that word would be absolutely ridiculous. So I was trying to think.
Well, wait, but okay, I'm getting a little queasy about this.
Well, no, she shouldn't be put to death because she does have First Amendment
it's
rights.
more of this, and I'm reacting to these things more and more and more because of how connected we all are, social media and stuff, and it's just the way I'm sick of all the forced apologies, then the determination whether the apology is enough, then waiting to see what happens, and then again, there's a mob mentality here.
Well, it's the very definition of Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
It's people take such great pleasure in watching people fall,
be taken down. So, but here's my question. Now, when she says, of course, I think, all right, this woman's 66 years old. She grew up in the Deep South.
And for her, it isn't, of course.
Of course. Okay. So, of course. The fact that she hasn't grown, and she sounds, as she talks about these things, like an idiot.
Well, not
Does
only
she
that,
not?
but clearly
she's never thought.
I mean, you don't get a case brought against you because you said it once when you were robbed. I mean, clearly there's a pattern of behavior that caused this employee to say enough. I mean, that's how this came up. It came up in a deposition.
I know. So I don't know. Now everything is being, I'm not saying I never watched this woman. I've never seen her show. She just strikes me as a certain kind of a person who...
She strikes you as advertised.
Exactly.
Yep.
I am no more shocked that she uses that word or pines for the good old days when people knew their place or has no understanding of even how she sounds. No,
exactly.
This sense that we're all...
It's why Todd Aiken was surprised when he got in trouble for saying that abortion stuff, because everyone he talks to believes that.
Yeah. Yeah.
She is who she is. it always was. I agree with you. I don't know who's surprised by
why?
this.
Okay, so now if you're, you're a good old gal of a certain age, and you do a cooking show that people like, you can't have the show anymore because you've been unmasked as exactly what anyone in their right mind would have figured you were anyway. I just hate the mob. The mob is everywhere now.
No, I agree with you.
And even when even when I would never, and the mob, apologize, and then the mob decides whether the apology's right, and then no, it's not, and then, the networks have to figure, can we deal with this or can't we not? Oh, the mob's outside at the door. She said this. Well, I mean, here's where I start sounding almost like a conservative. When when their society sets up these rules, and believe me, does not enforce them in any rational
systematic way.
No.
No, you get taken down when, Yeah,
there's part of me that wants to say, hey, if the Food Network wants to keep her show on, let them keep her show on. If you don't want to watch this racist, don't watch it!
And my guess is we weren't watching her to begin with. I'm with you. I've never seen her show.
Never.
I mean, but, she just keeps getting it. I mean, first she was in trouble for, peddling all of this inappropriate diet that she cooks and hiding the fact that she had
diabetes. She's not a good person.
And I thought that was unfair.
Yeah, well,
of course she does.
Well, of course she has diabetes, but she's trying to get more people to have diabetes. Then she starts doing
healthy adaptations. No, her son did a show, healthy adaptations of his mother's cooking.
They have an empire. I mean, and
they do, and they'll be just
she's screwed up.
And my guess is she'll be back. She'll have to go on hiatus. Somebody will want her.
And I want to be very clear here. I find her blech, but I just don't like the. Why are we always getting out the pitchforks and the?
No, why do we don't all have to be the same.
Thank you. Thank you. That's like where this stuff ends up. Or we don't, or you literally feel you cannot say. I hate that, where you think you cannot say certain things. Now, I will take great offense if you say certain things, right?
Right. But, you say it. You get to say it. I get to get offended. But that doesn't mean that you don't get to say it.
I believe in free speech, and then let the consequences take care of themselves.
Well, and on the same, we have an huge outdoor municipal, what they call the Muni, a municipal opera. It does musicals in the balmy summer evenings of St. Louis, which is why I've been once in the 30 years I've lived here.
It's too bad.
And they just finished a run of Spamalot, and the drama critic had to publish a statement from the Muni authorities that they did not change the lyrics. There's a lyrics as they're going after the Holy Grail that they can't they can't do it without a Jew, just like you can't have a musical without a Jew. And it's a funny line, and they changed it.
Oh God.
That's in Spamalot, and they took it the official version changes it to a star for the touring production. They only do the right lyrics in New York, where they figure you'll understand that it's a joke.
And that Jews, in fact,
was lamenting this because, for one thing, the change isn't funny, and the actual line is.
And what the feeling is that Jews would be offended?
Who knows?
Jews?
I mean, they did the same thing with Cabaret, where they do a song with a love song between a gorilla and a man, and then the punchline to that song is, and she doesn't look Jewish at all. And they changed that on the road too, and the same drama critic said it was as if it was inappropriate to mention that anti-Semitism was a part of Nazi Germany.
you know.
So yeah, with this political correctness goes to the point where it ruins musicals.
Well,
how bad could it be?
And political correctness taken to the extreme
is offensive.
It's very offensive, but it's also crushing. It crushes creativity. It crushes diversity. I don't understand why people don't see that. I just
and you can't,
don't
and
get
it crushes one of the most important ways to nonviolently incite change, which is through horrifying humor.
Okay, we're over. But I got to tell you, Suze, Beth has written on what you said about movies. And she is in the industry because, we do a lot of them here. She says, when you look at most of the movies today, they are green-lighted by men, written by men, directed by men. I am not aware of one woman who is heading production development in feature films at one major studio today. Men head every major studio. I would say 90 to 95% of the films today are directed by men. Maybe this would explain the change in product and fear as an overall message. The industry is not the same as when I first started in it. She's right.
I totally agree with her.
Isn't that amazing? And we think
because look at the funny movies. They are by men, for men, and they're adolescent male humor or violence. That's it.
Wow.
So the only movies I see anymore I have to read because European films are not like that quite yet.
No, but when our films go over there, they get gobbled up too.
Yeah.
They make more overseas. And that's one of the reasons our films are becoming like that, all action, because they make so much money overseas with all action. There you don't have to read subtitles in wherever you send it.
Yeah, kapow and boom sound the same in any language.
Exactly right. Good talking to you, Miss Suze.
Bye.
Bye. And you guys, I'll tell you what, if Chris Potter doesn't show up tomorrow... I'll kill him. I will personally kill him. I will wring his big, big balloon head. That's a promise. For anybody I've upset about my getting down on political correctness, think about it. Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.